What's up, you guys? I want to talk about whenever we see cheap FedEx routes for sale, whether it's going to typically be a good thing, like you're getting a good deal, it's a good value, or it's a disaster. And it can be a little bit of both. And so whenever we talk about cheap, I don't mean like it's only, 800,000 or whatever, like an absolute figure. What I mean by cheap is that it is selling at a discounted valuation multiple. So a lot of the routes tend to sell somewhere around 4 times the net income in early 2023, which is where we are right now. And so if we saw a route selling, let's say at a 2x valuation or a 3x valuation, is that a good deal? Are we getting a good value? And that's what I really want to explore, because it can be possible that you can get routes for cheap and basically have equity in that business your first day. However, there are a lot of situations where it's not quite like that. And those are the situations that I want to talk about today. So the problem stems from the idea that an untrained buyer cannot tell the difference between a good route and a bad route. They think they're pretty much all the same. They all work on profitability margins, all these sorts of things. They can't quite tell the difference. And we'll kind of hit that again in a moment. But the other problem that complicates things further is that one person's good route is the next person's bad route. So for example, let's say you wanted to make as much money as you could. Money was the thing that you were optimizing for, and you had a bunch of time to invest into your business. Well, here's a route. It's a cash cow. It takes 40 hours a week. That's your good route. If I take that same route and give it to someone else that wants to be semi-absentee, hands off, they only have 5 hours a week to manage the business or whatever, it doesn't matter if it's a cash cow. That's now a bad route for him because he's probably going to start to fail. He's going to have service issues. All hell is going to break loose. That's his bad route. That's your good route. And so what's good and what's bad is a lot dependent upon the buyer themselves. Secondly, there are inherent qualities about these routes that make them good or bad almost objectively. And so we need to hit some of those points here too. So one of the things that people think that they should evaluate a route objectively on is the margins. They'll say, well, this guy's getting 40% margin versus this guy making 20%. Hey, this is a lot better. Gosh, his margins are double. Well, again, if it takes you 60 hours a week to manage one route and make those 40% margins, if you think that's good, well, that's you. But if you have another route over here that's at 20% margins and doesn't take as much time, hey, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe that's the better route and deserves the higher valuation or whatever. Now, again, the brokers don't want you to see this, because the more you see this, the more you can start to assess, hey, this route is high risk, high reward. This route over here takes very little time, but it's very hands off. When you can start to see those differences, then you can really start to assess these things. So another thing that you're going to eventually bump into is a reality that a lot of the net income claims are exaggerations or just straight up lies, or they're just winging it. Like they don't even really know, like they haven't figured out their P&L yet. And so the guy that's got 40% margins that seems better and should be a higher valuation, well, maybe he just made that number up. And if you don't know how to figure out exactly what these guys are making and likely to continue to make, now you're back at square one. Well, is this good? Is this bad? Who knows, right? And so that's another thing. So at this point, you're hopefully starting to see that some people's good route is another person's bad route. Some of these net income claims are straight up lies or exaggerations, which is also going to distort the idea of what their margins are, which now you can also start to see that that doesn't quite work. And as you start to dig in further, even looking at the settlement level, trying to assess the stop rates, the service charge, all these things may not actually get you to the point of being able to say this route's good and this route's bad. So what are we left with? We're left with the idea that you cannot tell why a route is bad based on those things. Now, you can tell with other methods and other strategies. That is possible. But what I'm trying to get at is that whenever a route is cheap, it's probably cheap for a reason. And those reasons are going to be unknown to the majority of people. A lot of times it's going to be something along the ideas of the contract. Maybe it's not getting renewed. Maybe it's going to change. Maybe it's taking a tremendous amount of time to manage the business. Maybe it's high risk. Maybe there's issues with the employees. Maybe there's issues with the fleet. You got to be able to pinpoint what the hell it is that's wrong with this thing that would make it so damn cheap, right? And sometimes the people are just motivated. They see that liquor store of their dreams for sale and they say, man, I got to get rid of these routes. I need to sell these things as quickly as possible. I can't wait 6 months for them to sit on the market. I need to sell them now. And now you got a great business. There's nothing wrong with it. He didn't exaggerate his income. His margins aren't crazy or whatever. Like, it all is beautiful, but he just wants to sell. Okay, that's okay. Like, it's just a good deal. Those deals exist, but being able to tell whether it's a good deal or whether it is a disaster is really difficult, and it takes time. It is definitely possible. There are strategies that can be used to figure out why they're actually selling, see what those problems are, to tell whether you're getting a good deal or a disaster. But most of the time, in my experience, that if you are seeing a route that is severely discounted, most of the time they are disasters. Now, can you get a disaster route and turn around and fix it? Yes, but most of the time whenever you do that and want to do that, it's going to be on your additional acquisitions, not your first. Like, you don't want to be thrown into the fire on your first acquisition. So I often tell people to try to pay for a reasonably good business at a reasonably fair price. And then once they really understand this business, not from reading forums and listening to brokers or whatever, when they really understand it like a contractor does, then they can look at the other deals that pop up and say, that route is a good value, and this guy over here, he's selling it super cheap because it's junk. It's going to not get its contract renewed. All hell is going to break loose. I don't want it. It's worth zero because that's what it's about to start making. An untrained buyer cannot see that. A contractor with experience in this business specifically can see that. So a lot of times your additional acquisitions, you can start to get fantastic values after you're already in the business and you're experienced. But at first, it will be a very high risk situation. Now, granted, there are some gems that are down deep in those sort of discounted listings, but for the most part, there are some serious issues. And being able to tell where those issues are is very, very difficult. And if you're interested in hearing why I think some of the overpriced listings that exist out there should still be inquired upon and evaluated, go ahead and check out my video here. And as always, like, subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.